£15 company formation fee versus £50, an additional £50 credit once you meet a couple of conditions, leaving you £35 up overall. Seems like a great deal, yeah? We're not so sure. Welcome back to the Basics of Business channel, everybody. And Neil and I, having helped hundreds of companies set up over the years, the big rise in companies' house fees over the last year has been a big talking point, in particular the over 300% rise in the company formation fee from £12, I think it was, to now £50. It seems like the challenger banks and the e-money institutions have come to the rescue, offering free or reduced price formations and giving you a bank account at the same time, which when you're setting up a limited company, Neil and I would absolutely endorse. You have to do that. But Neil, what are some of the things where people have got to watch of why that might not be as good an idea or deal as it seems in the face of it?
Well, I suppose there's two aspects to this thing. One is you're getting a bank account, and two is you're getting a limited company. And, you know, it's that best in class versus all in one thing, isn't it? Is it the right bank account for you? So you can do your research. You look at our videos, you decide whether it's, let's say, Tide, because they're doing it. So you say Tide is the right bank account. So I'm now going to go through their account opening, and at the same time I get a company. And as you say, I'm quids in, but actually there are limitations on what companies you can have with that offer from Tide, which is the main one is you can only have one shareholder who has one share of £1.
And just looking at that shares point, particularly, there's two aspects to that. Is one, there's this single shareholder versus multiple shareholders. So there's multiple, it doesn't work for you. But also in terms of how many shares and the types of shares, what are the sort of, we've done a video on that and we'll put a link to it, what are the sort of high level key things that people need to look out for when they're looking at how many shares and types of shares, which Tide won't let you do.
So the how many shares, if you're going to look to raise money and your shares are £1 each, then that limits either you've got to put in a lot of money to retain a significant shareholding because other people are going to come in. So you'll find that where people are raising money, very often the nominal share value will be 0.000 something of £1, and then different classes of share. That's very much can be around the sort of tax efficient profit extraction strategy. So you and I go into business together. You can have an A share, I can have a B share, and that way we can take dividends different ratios to one another. So the A shares could be voted a dividend, the B shares not, or the A shares are voted a dividend of £10,000 and the B shares are voted a dividend of £7,500. A lot of people will set up a company with that flexibility in mind.
Yeah, so and that you cannot do with this Tide option. So in terms of that, one of the big things, second thing moving on to in terms of when it comes to the address, Tide are offering a virtual office address.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But in terms of keeps your own address private if you want to do that. However, a bit back to it is a bank. They're offering one option in terms of the virtual office address.
Yeah.
Might not be the right one for you. It might miss out additional services in terms of telecoms, etc. that you want on it. Just another example of where the one option they give you might not be the best one for your circumstances.
Absolutely. And and it's, as we said all the way, when all the things we've done when we're looking at the different banks is if it works for you, it will be perfect and everything's fine and you'll be saying, oh, aren't I brilliant? And you tell your mates that this offer is fantastic, and your mate goes and does it, but actually his or her circumstances are different and it turns out not to be the most suitable offer for them. And that's the hard bit. You need to do your research. What type of company do I want? How many shares? What nominal value? Different classes of shares? Where do I want it to be registered? Is there a trading address? Do I want a phone number? Do I need? I think they're offering domains and all. I want a website. it sounds great. Oh, it's all there. I can just tick a button and
Yeah.
everything's done for me. And I say it might work out perfect, but it might not, and it might be that, oh, I've got the wrong company. You can correct it afterwards. You can change the articles of association and create different classes of shares afterwards, and you can change the nominal value of the shares afterwards. But it's time and effort, and part of what they're promoting is, hey, one-stop shop, click a button, spend some money, you've got it all in one place. And that when you're starting out, it can be very frustrating to then find, oh, I've now got to go and correct a load of stuff because I didn't.
And just thinking of the bank, I mean, we've looked at Tide bank account before in terms of, they are very clear in terms of who they're looking at. It tends to be single director, sole traders, etc. For them, this may be absolutely perfect and all the options are perfect. However, for others, it's not necessarily going to work out in Tide itself, as in, talked about the mandates before, your accountant can't get access, various people you might want access, a big thing for us in terms of bank accounts, might not work. Then moving on to other things that they're offering in terms of, just looking at it here, they auto enroll you for a 3-month trial of their admin extra accounting software. So you've got to remember to cancel it. That's an extra $22.99 a month. The accounting software, if you've got nothing to count, A, why do you need accounting software? And B, another thing we've talked about before is the banks aren't necessarily the software experts when it comes to that. Therefore, you might be tied, you start creating processes around their accounting software, you're tied into them again, when you not necessarily might not want to be long term.
Yeah, and again, I would say, I haven't tested their software out, but on the basis that they are very much looking for one-person businesses, essentially, that seems to be what they're going after, suggests that the accounting software will be designed and may well be suitable for that one-person business. You can send the invoices direct. There's a payment link. You can get paid. You can log your expenses. Well, that's fine. But if you're employing someone, does that software work with that? If you're, if you have any complexity around VAT or anything like that, does the software cope with that? Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, it's not to say they're the worst bank in the world. It just, if your circumstances change and they're no longer the most suitable bank for you, so you need to find, someone else, then you've also got to change your accounting software, and you've also got to, sort out your registered office and all. I know they'll have outsourced a lot of that, but it's all tied in. All tied into Tide. Do you like that? It's all tied in, and I say it may create more hassle down the road. So again, it's something to be very careful of, that you could end up laying out significantly more than you might have thought you were going to or need to at this stage as you're starting the business. It's those things of just being in control of it yourself.
And it's not to say in terms of these decisions are necessarily hard. In terms of what we're trying to do is in terms of is make it as simple as possible and straightforward. It's just you need to recognize how many decisions you're making by potentially go down this route. And if you are doing that and it's the right one, perfect. However, you're making a number of decisions. You're choosing a bank account, you're choosing a shareholding structure, you're potentially choosing a virtual office address, you're choosing potentially accounting software, website domains and builders, etc. There's a lot of decisions in what comes across as one pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And I say it looks great. It is one decision, and I got all that done overnight. Isn't that great? But it'll be, as I say, it'll be very frustrating if 2 months down the line you realise, oh, actually that isn't what I wanted, and I now need to unravel it.
And it feels to me there's a bit of a theme at the moment. So like when we've sort of talked about this before, and we spotted like Anna Money's coming up with the same sort of thing, and they're offering multiple shareholders versus single shareholders, etc. So therefore that would seem to be a step up. However, Wise, I think, are coming up with a new they're trying to bring something similar to market. It seems to be a direction that the e-money institutions are going in. However, again, the same things apply. When you look at those services, the same decisions
Yeah, I mean the costs that go with an ANA bank account, or in
Yeah.
fact, sorry, I'm not sure if that's even the right term because I don't think
They're a bank.
they're a regulated bank, but they're an e-money institution, so the costs that go with that can be much higher than with other bank accounts. They have this whole thing of online bookkeeping. They have their own thing, and it sort of looks more to me that they are an accounting software company who happen to then have an e-bank type offer on the side of that, rather than we're a bank and here's a load of tools that we're going to offer our small business customers.
Yeah. So that's it for this video. If you found it helpful, please hit that like button and check out our other video with a deep dive into if you want to form your company the DIY way, and also our deep dive research into looking at the 9 different business bank accounts we've got access to. But whatever you choose, as ever, and most importantly, we wish you every success with your business journey.